So I've been getting a lot of questions about this, and I'm going to keep people informed about my results with this and how I feel doing this. So, sometimes it's just that. It's just figuring it out, what works best for you, and then do what works best for you. The eggs. I did an eggs post. People want eggs, I give eggs. So this is kind of important. Somebody out there is trying to attack my business. This seems like a good idea. Is anybody against any of these steps? Something else that was really, really important to me. I hope it happens soon. The Epstein files documents are going to be released. What everybody wants is the island list. Who went to the island? Do you think that's okay? Do you think that's okay that people's tax dollars were funneled through the Department of Education to nonprofits, billions of dollars, to promote getting out the Democratic vote? That's some corrupt shit, right? I do have one issue, though, that I don't understand, and I understand a lot, okay, when it comes to financial stuff. Like, that's my wheelhouse. The reason I'm bringing this up, because nobody else is really talking about it or asked the question that I have that I would ask senators, congressmen, the president is, this doesn't end well unless it ends. You can't just report the fucking obvious.
I don't care what a critic got to say, I got them picking up the pieces. That mean you really playing with your life, I'm about to come
just a motherfucking jump. Just go. Let's fucking go. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy, and the other fucking guy is Chase. Chase, good morning, brother.
Good morning, man. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I can't believe how fast the week is going, though.
It is passing by.
And I feel like I'm just still trying to catch up from the weekend. Kind of got slammed over the weekend business-wise, which is a good thing. Trust me. Like, I love it. There is no complaint there whatsoever. My office sometimes is a very small room. First thing getting up, I went to the bathroom before I got in the shower, and I don't know. Like my legs almost went to sleep because I'm sitting there
replying to
answering
everyone.
messages to clients all over the country. Yeah, it just kind of blew up a little bit this morning, and then took my shower, and then after and before we get started, answering even more. And a little bit that has to do with, people can check it out, but I did a video on my Facebook. We can pull that up, can't we? We can just do that. Or did I put it on TikTok? I don't know. But no, it was a post. I did a post on this one. The video was on the 3 different GLP-1s. That is on TikTok. That's the semaglutide, tirzepatide, and the new retatrutide. And little information about each, what makes each a little different, and cost-wise, and what you may want to. That's not my password anymore because I didn't remember that one. So I'll write it down because I had to re-log in because it like fucked up my whole account and made me log back when I got suspended.
Gotcha.
In the groups. I told you about that, right? I got suspended for using the word Xanax.
Yeah.
So I did that, and that's always good to share with people, especially because when it comes to medicines of all kinds, there's usually a couple different things to treat situations, and the price can be just dramatically different. Like the case with my heart medication that I was on, and we decided between the doctor and I that no defibrillator at this time, that my heart has made a big improvement from the time that I had the episode that I had in October, end of October, that was not good, but my heart has made a big jump in strength and improvement, and we're going to think if that can do even more. Hey, so it worked, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. There we go. That is that is so. Before I get to that, like, I'll finish what I was saying about people love that shirt too. I'm having that shirt made as an Outlaw Apostle shirt. That's a grunt style T-shirt, but I'm having it made with the Outlaw Apostle logo, and instead of an AR-15 on the front being the tool is going to be a barbell or dumbbell or
Yeah.
something like that. Gym equipment,
Yeah.
which I thought that'll be perfect. People will like that. I'll like that. Anyways, it's so funny, like how different pictures. I don't really feel that big, but in certain pictures and stuff, I'm like, damn, I got a little bit of size. That's not too bad. I did that yesterday when I got on the bike and put a short little clip, did a short little reel and put that on, and you see the back of me, and I'm like, dang, I've got a little thickness there, made me happy.
Yeah.
But I'm saying about the drugs, and even the doctor agreed that the medication that he put me on, we had a coupon for, it was $50. Without the coupon, and this is for 30-day supply.
Okay.
Without the coupon, it was $700.
Wow.
And he even said that there was some improvement over the other drug, but not necessarily, that dramatic that it warrants. And for what my situation was, this other level drug
Mm-hmm.
would work fine. And which is what my general practitioner had said. So that's how I had the information to give to him. So we went with the cheaper version. I was not paying $700, and I'll pay a lot of money. Look, I spend a lot of money. Obviously, like the NAD here. Typically, NAD is it's a peptide, and it's great for focus and mental clarity and anti-aging, and it's just been really become popular really fast in the peptide world because the benefits that you get from it are benefits that most people want if they have the money for it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And definitely your budget plays a role in what supplements and things you take or decide to take. Obviously, it always has for me. And some, like I always say, test is a bigger bang for your buck than HGH
Okay.
is. So like HGH, I say, is the icing on the cake. Testosterone is the cake. That's the most important part. Now, if you can afford to put the icing on there, by all means, it's a great thing, but it's not within some, but they'll get the biggest, if they can only do one or the other,
Mm-hmm.
then that's do the testosterone all day long. Especially if you have low T, the HGH is not going to help your low T. It has a bunch of other tremendous benefits, and there's a bigger cost difference between the two. So that's definitely why, and definitely plays a role. Now, for this NAD from Pro Performance Labs, the other lab that I compare, at least peptide wise, their products with is Peptide Sciences. Now, we don't carry all of the peptides that they do, but we are trying to carry the very best ones. And what's the best deal? And we won't always have like a bunch of different milligram doses to choose from, and sometimes companies will do that too. This comes different ways, like Peptide Sciences. Theirs is 750 milligram vial, and it's $300. And the Pro Performance Labs is 1,000 milligrams for the $300. So a little bit better deal. Sometimes between the two companies, the price is very close or pretty much the same. Or occasionally the Pro Performance Labs is a little bit better. And that's the lab that I use. They had great success with. And I'm currently taking this, and I said this in my post. It's been a little over a week. I took a dose yesterday, and I'll take a dose tomorrow. So I am doing 100 milligrams 3 times a week. I know people that are doing 100 to 200 milligrams total a week, because my total per week then is 300. The actual dosage for this, now, there's different ways you can get the NAD. One of the ways is intravenous, like in the IV drips.
Okay.
You can do that. I haven't heard, well, I have heard people that I know that have done that don't seem to like that as well, or the benefits for the cost. And that's why we went with this. This is a powder form, and doing it subcutaneous. There's other couple ways, but this way, doing it subcutaneous seems to get you the best results for your money. And so I'm all about doing that. And most of the peptides we carry, you're going to do subcutaneous anyways, which just means you're just pinching the skin and you're using a diabetic pin and injecting just under the skin. So you're using a very, very tiny needle, 29 or 30 gauge. The higher the number of the gauge, the smaller and thinner it is. And that's what we use for this. So it's not like you feel, yeah, it doesn't hurt. That's what I'm trying to say. So for people that were, oh, a needle, or don't do it then. Whatever. I just hate when people bitch about needles. It's like, oh my God. But the anti-aging is really, really big. I know people think of that as far as HGH sometimes, but it really doesn't have anti-aging properties like this. A lot of other benefits, but this truly is people that are looking to just have a better body longer and live longer. That's where the popularity comes in the anti-aging and being able to live longer, where it comes in with the NAD plus. So I just started. I feel good so far on it. They've not had any type of side effects or anything as a result of this. And I think side effects overall for most people are pretty rare. The dosage is anywhere from 50 milligrams to 500 milligrams weekly or per shot. Again, people do seem to take higher doses from what I've read, doses that I probably won't get, that are athletes. I don't know. This might be one of those things that, sports can't test for yet.
Gotcha.
But what can be tested, and the whole reason for this is just naturally, your body, by the time you're over 40 or so, your NAD levels have declined by about 40%, and they continue just to decline with age. It's not the result of something else, it's just simply age. And so keeping those higher, then that's where the anti-aging comes in. So I've been getting a lot of questions about this, and I'm going to keep people informed about my results with this and how I feel doing this, Because look, I'm just straight honest. It's just everything that I do. I if I can afford it, I want I want the best. I want the best. I want to be the best. I can afford to do this, and I want the results that it offers. And it's worth it to me to do that. I'm worth it to me. That's what I base it on, you know. I spend quite a bit of money, and one of the guys that questioned me, asked me about, do you still do that Thrive? Yes, I do. I've done Thrive for 10 years now, over 10 years. And it's nothing more than basic premium vitamins for the most part. Now, they have a couple of other products that I absolutely love, like the Move, that's for joints. And I figured a good dosage for the capsules now turned out to be 3 instead of the 2 that they recommend on the thing. I had great results with the gel, but I just didn't want the calories and the other things that come with the gel. So I prefer to take the capsule. And I just didn't feel as good on the capsule as I did the gel of the same product, basically, same main ingredients, anyways, until I increased it to 3. And that's just the thing. Sometimes, people try something and they give up without ever checking things out, without ever making
Digging
some
deeper for sure.
adjustments. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, yeah, how about you try something different or make an adjustment or whatever? But it's for something over the counter, w- probably the best product I take because I'm old and I've been taking it consistently now. And some of the daily aches and discomfort that I was feeling in my knees, I no longer feel those discomforts in my knees anymore, or not to the same level. It's greatly reduced, which uh, when you're my age, that's all you're looking for. Hey, can we take the edge off of this? The edge off of bending down. Yeah, besides doing this because I want to look good, I also want to be healthy and fit as well too. So I just thought I'd throw that out there since I was talking about this. But I'm excited about this. Probably the most excited I've been about adding any product to the lineup, you know, that that we're consulting on and helping people with, and you know, want to see other people get those same benefits. But I do know a number of people, prior to this that are in my circle that were taking this and getting this from a clinic, and they've had good results as well. Like, just I haven't really run into somebody or talked to somebody that has not had a good experience with it, other than, as I said, the one that did the IV, did that method, but now they've switched over and they like the experience now. They're doing this with the subcutaneous injection. So, sometimes it's just that. It's just figuring it out, you know, what works best for you, and then do what works best for you. And there's a lot of times more than one right answer. Just keep that in mind when you do that or question. Do us a favor, check it out. Check out the main homepage. That subscribe button, hit that. That share button, super, super important though. We do absolutely need you. And I really think for those of you that also listen to the show for the fitness, the bodybuilding, the other things that we talk about, check out that Ron Harris interview that we just got up this week and pass that along to one of your gym bros. And if they like it, ask them to do the same. Ask them to pass it on and hit that subscribe button. But check out that interview. Check out Ron's his content on Instagram and Facebook and everything. The dude is just super knowledgeable, and he has a simple little show himself that's very valuable, talks to some really good people, and we were happy to talk to him. But we need your help. Comes with the sharing. That's what's going to help us grow, and that is a good choice. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. Things. Oh, the other thing on there, we might as well continue. My Facebook is pretty interesting right now. Can you go lower the next one? Oh, that's the bike one. But see, I look pretty fucking thick. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. But underneath there, the eggs. I did an eggs post. People want eggs, I give eggs. So this is kind of important. And I think I mentioned it maybe because nobody was talking about it. That Trump is dealing with the egg situation differently than past administrations. And it's not just about lowering costs for fuel. The problem in this case is bird disease, the avian influenza, the avian flu, bird flu, that under old or more traditional ways, and it hasn't really stopped it, I guess, from what I understand, from it spreading, but they end up killing large numbers of hens and maybe others that come into contact as well. But for sure, the ones we care about for eggs are the hens.
Yeah.
So they just kill a lot of them. And so the president and the team has come up with, and this is the agriculture department. I mean, I've never heard so much stuff come from the secretary of the agriculture department, but it's like there's a shit ton of issues, right? All over the place, but everybody's on it. Everybody's working and working at a high level. And they just had their first cabinet meeting yesterday. Trump invited Elon to the cabinet meeting too. That was good. But what was great is just the transparency, because I mean, you probably didn't see the Biden cabinet, more than a couple times over the whole 4 fucking years. You know what I mean? And say what you want, but he's putting it out there and you can judge for yourself. But his willingness to answer the number of questions, and for them to try to say he's, suppressing the media is just garbage, because the AP is suing him now because they're not allowed into certain events, but they still have access. He hasn't taken away their access and, denied them altogether. And they've allowed, how smart is this? They've allowed other forms of media, including like podcasts or, news organizations like Breitbart and others, to be a part of it now. It's not just the traditional media anymore. And they're a little peeved about that. The traditional media elites are a little peeved about that. But I think it's great because those are the people that's smart on his part because of who they communicate to and to get the message out and just taking it directly. And, that goes for the president himself. It's not just our president do it. Now, nobody does it as much as he does, but literally leaders all over the world now are making regular statements on social media. And they're doing that. I mean, yes, they're in some countries, media access is better or worse than others. But again, to just get an unfiltered message out. And then you can judge for yourself whether that unfiltered message is bullshit or not. This guy's lying. This guy's telling the truth, whatever. But it's better, I believe, to hear directly from people than to hear what someone else thinks about what someone else said and using that as your main source. And that includes me, like, yeah, it's cool if you're interested in my opinion, but I would still encourage anyone when I give an opinion about a particular thing is, did that person actually say that? And where did they say it? Is there video of it? Is there a transcript? Is some of the statements in a news article or whatever? Again, to judge for themselves. And then that's also a way to filter out your individuals of who you trust and listen to by how often are they accurate. And part of being accurate, to me anyways, also means being willing, and I am being willing to say when I've changed my mind or my opinion has changed or I have new information and I was wrong. Based on this new information, I was wrong. And I believe you want people like that. That, again, sometimes it is important to double down, but other times it's important to acknowledge that we didn't catch it right at a particular time. What the hell? They banned my post? Oh my God, you got to be kidding, dude. They put up NAD ads. I'll have to. That's the kind of shit I've been dealing with Facebook. Unbelievable.
Well, what timing?
Yeah. Somebody out there is trying to attack my business. No, I'm serious. I don't think it's just Facebook. I think it's somebody reporting it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. What do they think they're going to do? They think that's really going to work? That's ridiculous. But anyways, there's a 5-point plan. And can you click on that see more part again so we can just quickly go over that? These are the parts of the plan. The first is what they call biosecurity measures. And that's for equipment that will help them detect these diseases like the avian flu in poultry faster, earlier, and also help covering the some of the costs for that too. Helping out the farmers that have been affected. So there's a little bit of aid in there for those farmers so that they can use that money to increase their flock numbers quicker. So we can get back up. Investing in research. I've heard this talked about, which is vaccines or therapeutics, so that they don't have to get rid of all of the animals. They'll be able to treat them.
Gotcha.
Regulations, rolling back some regulations that contribute to the increased production costs, while keeping us safe, and offering us poultry and eggs that are healthy without disease. And then temporarily import calls or import eggs. I don't know, like I was looking at that when that popped up. Import eggs. And this is basically something they say is a plan that's going to take 6 months to get your egg prices down. But also, so that's the short term, and then using this and also looking for ways to deal with this long term to make when something like this happens less severe. Those, to me, I don't know. I know it's just the issue of eggs, but this seems like a good idea. Like, is anybody against any of these steps? I don't know if anybody would be, but you like my tags?
Gotta make sure to let people know.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing something about it because you're just hearing this all the time from liberals trying to rub it in our face. Egg prices are still high. He didn't lower egg prices on day one. Oh my God. It's insanity. It is insanity out there. But yes, so we're lowering egg prices. That's good. Something else that was really, really important to me, and I hope it happens soon. There was just a story out today that is saying again that the Epstein files documents are going to be released, or the names on the list. And you even had Pam Bondi say that it was on her desk. I don't know what they're looking for before it's released. I hope pretty much nothing is redacted when it is released, that it's just put out there. But a lot of people want to see this and know that if this happens, because the JFK files are supposed to be released yet, and also for Martin Luther King Jr. is supposed to be released. And that's all in the process. After all this time, I don't understand, and I don't think anybody has talked about or explained why it's going to take a certain amount of time to do this. Because if the president wants something released, or he wants something declassified, he can do it in an instant. And at this point, to me, these things need to be released in an instant. And whatever the consequences are of that, they just are. And a lot of conservatives that have been on the Trump train, like me, from the beginning, were disappointed that information was not released in the past like we were led to believe that it would. And, promises made, promises kept. That's what we hear the president say. And as big a supporter as I am, I still want to hold his feet to the fire on the release of these documents. That it needs to be done, and it needs to be done sooner rather than later. It's a promise that was made. Now deliver on the promise. If they're, again, explain to us what this review is that's being done first, and how long that should take, or what could be done to speed up that review process. Put the people on the job to get it done. And there are definitely some senators that are pushing for this as well. Republican senators. We want it released. We want the information. And God forbid it doesn't happen, right? Because that will not be a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, what does it say? While hundreds of pages of court documents that name people with ties to Epstein, including President Donald Trump, Clinton, Britain's Prince, has been unsealed, many of them were not accused of wrongdoing, were already public. But we want the list. What everybody wants is the island list. Who went to the island? Whose identity are we protecting? What's it say above them? Oh, the victims. Okay. But again, if you're just pulling the name of the victims, how long does that take? It just shouldn't take that long. And again, the other files as well. And that's just what we want. Stop acting like the American people can't take it. That the information is just too big, that we won't know how to deal with it. Well, people are going to have to learn. You're going to have to, American people, the spoiled American people are going to have to grow up and understand that. I mean, don't we know that some shady shit has gone on? And there's so much more. Like I was mentioning the Secretary of the Department of Agriculture, right? Well, how about this? Under President Biden, they took billions of dollars and gave it to nonprofit organizations. In one of the cases, the organization, I believe, has just like a big empty building that there's nothing. They're not doing anything, but they got money. And in another case, it was given to a group that was linked to the what's her name? She ran for governor of Georgia. Abrams? It was her. It was Abrams. And it was, I guess, for climate, but the money really went to groups that use the money to help get out the Democratic vote. Now, do you think that's okay? Do you think that's okay that people's tax dollars were funneled through the Department of Education to nonprofits, billions of dollars, to promote getting out the Democratic vote? That's some corrupt shit right there. Yeah, Stacey Abrams. See, I was right. She lost. Of course. Yeah, nonprofit founded by. But yeah, just recently, I believe, before Biden left office, what does it say? The Snopes, what does it say? What's true, what's not? Oh, really? What you're saying wasn't true is that Doge didn't find it, that the Treasury Secretary Lee Zeldin found it? Really? It was still found. You're not saying it wasn't true. You're just disputing who said they found it. Well, what they're doing is they're creating smaller Doge groups inside the agencies to also aid in speeding up the process of finding this waste, fraud, and abuse, is what they're doing. And Lee Zeldin's right on top of it. He's doing a great job. That's fine. I give two fucks who gets credit for it. You know what I mean? But the fact that it's true is not good. Yeah. So you can even see like this is not debatable shit. The groups that say got the money even announced that they got the money. That is not what taxpayer dollars are not supposed to be used in that way. Incumbents already have an advantage. And so then if you're going to use government money that was not given to a campaign, but was taken from you, tax money that was taken from you, and then to be used in campaigns or giving to a political party to support that particular party, that is like some crazy stuff. And if that kind of stuff had been discovered back in the 70s, it'd be huge. Why is it not huge now? It absolutely should be. This is the most corrupt shit in the fucking world. And one of the best examples of it is this, of what's being done. And yet they're still trying to defend, right? They're still trying to defend and say, how dare they do this? Yeah, well, I'm glad they are. And more is going to come out about this. I should have given you notice. I'll do that in the future on getting some clips, because there were some good zingers at the meeting yesterday with Trump that Elon Musk attended, the cabinet meeting. And one of them that I recall, I believe, was when he was asked about that maybe some of the cabinet members, some of the secretaries maybe weren't 100% on board with supporting Elon. And Trump basically said, well, if that happens to be true, they may want to get on board or they won't be around. I don't know. I just think it's really, really good stuff, and excited that it's happening and that it continues to happen. I do have one issue, though, that I don't understand. And I understand a lot, okay, when it comes to financial stuff. Like, that's my wheelhouse, right? When it comes to government budgets, here's what they do. So let's say Leo is in charge of the Department of Agriculture. We'll stick with the Leos in charge of it. And they set a budget at 22 billion, and their budget the previous year was 20 billion. What will happen is, if they only get 21 billion instead of the 22, they'll call that a cut, because it's less than they asked for. But it's not less. It's not a real cut like you and I understand budget cuts. You and I understand budget cuts as being, so much was spent on food at the grocery store, and you try to reduce that by 10%. So if your budget is, let's say, $1,000 a month, you understand a 10% cut would be 900. Where the government, same thing, is you were going to increase it to 1,200, you only increase it to 1,100, and you call that a cut. That's really government math. I swear to God, they do this. And it's ridiculous. Again, I'm a MAGA supporter. I support what they're doing, but I want to see the deficit reduced to zero, and I want the debt to start going down the other direction. But the first step, the debt can't go down until we stop adding to the debt, right? So we got to get the deficit to zero first. To me, the easiest way to do that would be to go back to 2019 levels and then taking that total amount of money, and maybe you don't allocate it the same way as you did in 2019, but you use that total amount and allocate it based on your priorities. So if you want to increase a department over here by 300 million, you got to find that 300 million from somewhere else. That's how it should be done. It would be much, much easier. There's no reason we should have to continue at COVID level spending when COVID is over. Why can't we just go back? But once they get this money, they don't want to give it up. And it includes Republicans, okay? Because when some of these cuts that Doge is finding affects maybe a grant that a university is going to get in a Republican's district, they're like, oh, hold on. No, motherfucker, it don't work like that. These cuts are for everybody. These cuts are not just going to happen in Democratic districts. It doesn't work like that. And nobody thinks it, there's no voters out here that think it should, that just one party or one group of people inside of a party should bear the brunt of all the cuts. No, it's just this, it's no different than if there is fraud. If there are Republicans that committed fraud, they should be held accountable too, not just Democrats that we've heard about. Everybody should be held accountable. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because nobody else is really talking about it or asked the question that I have that I would ask senators, congressmen, the president is, why do we need to increase the debt ceiling if we're going to make all these cuts? If we're going to find all this money, why would the debt increase by $2 trillion? Or can you at least show me that, yes, for a year, maximum 2 years, it's going to increase slightly, but then after that, it's gonna go down. Show me something, but show me the cuts. Show me real cuts. Show me that there is, that there is truly a balanced budget. And there was talk of this back during the Clinton era about a balanced budget amendment, and both sides like to spend money, so it was unable to get passed. But most states are required to balance their budget. They're not allowed to indefinitely carry debt like we do at the federal level. So you're not allowed, you're allowed to have some debt personally, but there's a maximum that you can really take on based on your income, right? Well, why would the rules be any different for the government? They shouldn't be. The government is not different. They keep trying to tell you that it's different. It's not different. They should have to operate on the same principles that you individually have to operate on, and that small businesses have to operate on, that big businesses have to operate on. And there's even a law now they passed a number of years ago that if you're a CEO of a publicly traded company. And if you sign off on financial information about your company that you know is not true and later is found out, you can be held liable for the company. You personally can be held liable. That was a big deal. So if we're going to hold CEOs of publicly held corporations accountable, why aren't we holding everyone else accountable inside of government? We should. There is no difference. There is no difference. And it removes the incentives for these shenanigans and actually puts in place some penalties that are going to make people think twice about doing it. But up till now, they've been able to do it for a long time and get away with it. And the things that we were talking about earlier in the episode, the things we were talking about with the EPA and how they're doing this with every department. They have money that's supposed to go for a certain mission, and how they address that, addressing that mission or that problem is they give it to a nonprofit or an NGO. They give them the money and they're supposed to do it. And then there's really not a lot of oversight on what they're actually doing with that money. But you're saying you're doing something. You're saying you're doing shit for the environment like the Biden administration was, when in actuality, you're doing nothing for the environment except talk. You're not really reducing pollution or making things better. You're just talking a game. And you've given money and you don't know where the money is gone or what it's being used for. Think about this. If Kamala Harris had won, we still wouldn't know any of this. We wouldn't know it. You think they were going to check into this? I'm telling you, they weren't. We had inspector generals, and Trump got rid of a bunch of them because that's their job, is to root out this waste, fraud, and abuse, and they weren't doing it. Find out, or at least, it's not all waste, fraud, and abuse. All of it isn't. And the Trump administration has acknowledged that. But what they have been able to do is, in some cases where, let's say, they froze funding for a minute, they found out that this particular small pot of money for this issue and this group was really needed and necessary, and it's been proven. And now, like, where maybe there were some blank spots and they didn't know what was going on, because like Elon Musk had said, where sometimes these fields were just empty. You're given no explanation. And once they get an explanation for it, and it's a good explanation, then they release the funding for that. And they've done that. So the idea that they're just cutting everything off and throwing it in the fire, that's not happening. They're making these cuts, they're making these freezes, but as they do, when they find out that something else needs to be done, that money is actually needed, and there was no waste, fraud, or abuse there, releasing those funds. And that's what you would expect. That's what you would want. That's the efficiency part. But you have to at least find out. You can't just leave these fields blank. So just because the field is blank doesn't mean there was, again, shenanigans, the word of the day, going on. But you're going to find out and prove that there either is or there isn't, by at least taking a deeper look into it, like just this line here, this money going here, and we don't know why or to who or what the results were. That's not how companies are run. They measure productivity. And that's one of the things that they said, well, Elon Musk isn't an auditor. No, he's better than an auditor. He's the CEO of multiple corporations, and there are people that have those jobs that have to produce those numbers. And when somebody is not producing, then they're going to eliminate that person. And if it's a job that still needs to be done, find a replacement that's qualified to do it and pay them. You know, paying qualified people it's just worth it. It's just worth it. It's worth it for a business and it'd be worth it for the government. But there has to be an evaluation of it to make that judgment. Just because the person is nice or shows up or, you know, contributes to the potluck Friday once a month, that's not good enough. What are the numbers? What are they doing? What are the results? There's standards. You're not just entitled to a paycheck. Anywhere. Literally anywhere. You're not just entitled to a paycheck. Just like you're not entitled to a living wage. I don't even know what a living wage would be because a living wage would be different in every part of the country. The very first bottom row of jobs that pay the least, the main objectives of those jobs is for you to prove that not even that you can do those jobs. There's one thing that's most important when you're 16 or whatever you get your first job at a real employer. There is one overriding principle over everything else that you must be able to show that you can do. And that is simply to show the fuck up. That's it. That's the number one thing. If you just show the fuck up, come to work, not calling in all the time, you'll advance from there. And probably within, even at McDonald's, I doubt that you'll be at the minimum wage 6 to 12 months later if you show up every time you're scheduled to show up. And then learn some skills. And don't wait for the manager to say, "Hey, you think you're ready to learn the fryer?" Don't wait. Ask the manager. Now, he may say, "Well, that's going to happen. Slow down." But it still would be good for you to ask the manager, say, "Hey, when we're not as busy, can Bob show me how to do that job over there?" And show some initiative instead of getting on your fucking cell phone because they're slow. And I don't know how companies allow their employees in some of these places to use their cell phone right in front of customers and clients. Like it's insane. Most people are not in favor of that. And I'm at least, it wasn't as big an issue now or then as it is now, but there definitely was the texting and stuff. And I would get on, I had employees, young people that worked for me making phone calls, right? I'm paying you to make phone calls, not paying you to text Jeff. Okay. I'm not saying that, something doesn't happen or people do but there's no reason somebody should be on their phone for 20 minutes. I don't pay you to do that. Produce. And you know how I know? Is because I know what the numbers are. How many dials they need to make and what those dials will represent. So if they lie about the number of dials and expand it, And based on their previous activity, 100 dials got them 10 decision makers, and they got 2 appointments. Well, they're still showing the 100, and then the 10 decision makers, and now they're getting 1 or none appointments. Something might be going on there. Now, it could be legitimate, and you would listen to their phone call and see what they're saying and how to help them out, or they're lying about making those calls. Because the bottom line is getting the people in the office, the appointments. Or it might be they're on their phone and they're just fudging the numbers or whatever. So there's ways to track that stuff even way better than what we did, previously. But when you hire somebody, you want that person to have an effect on your business where they're generating you more than they're costing you. And usually by a decent margin. But if somebody isn't at least covering their paycheck, why would you keep that person? You may need to, maybe you have a plan of addressing it over a period of a few months and getting them to that place. That's fine. But, you absolutely do. And that's what was going on with the, when we talked about the last episode with Joy Reid. She's not generating them enough ad revenue to really even cover not just the cost of her, but you have to figure the production of the show. So you're going to have some producers and other people that are affiliated with the show, right? That you're also paying for. And NBC obviously wants to make a profit. Disney, wants to make a profit. So you're going to want, they at least got to be covering their salary plus whatever they're being paid. Or why do some people get such big money? Because a Sean Hannity who's being paid $30 or $40 million, whatever he makes, right, is generating them $80 million. Justifies the amount that he gets paid because of what he's able to generate for the company. It's not really all that complicated. And those kind of principles work for all businesses. And this idea that some want to just make an excuse for the government and say, well, government's not like that, bullshit. And that's why people have voted for what they voted for. That's why people voted for a businessman, regardless of what you think about that businessman. Okay. To me, when somebody has dealt with bankruptcy and then has been able to come back like Donald Trump has, and the situation we find ourselves in this country, really on the verge of bankruptcy as well, having somebody who's been through it and knows what kinds of deals need to be made to be able to survive, how many employees you have to reduce, what kind of deals you need to make on financing, what kind of deals you need to make on revenue. I don't know. Did you see? Everything keeps getting a little bit better. That Trump threw out there with Zelensky and Ukraine about having a partnership on the minerals that are in that country. Now, maybe Trump didn't get 100% of what number he initially threw out there which was $500 billion. We'll see, but maybe he got a $400 billion deal. And you know how much better that is than the deal Biden got? $400 billion. Biden had no deal. We weren't getting shit for all of the money we were sending there. And with all the things that have been said back and forth, and, you know, Trump calling him a dictator and all this shit, I think he's supposed to maybe be even coming to D.C. on Friday. Or if not, soon. Just everything is getting closer to deals being made and the war being over. And all of this orchestrated. You want an Audi? Yeah. There you go. He's coming to he's coming to America. After all that shit being said and the criticism that Trump gets, how could he say that about another leader? I don't know. Seems like it works, huh? I mean, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. Yeah, he might find something similar. He wants in NATO. There ain't no way that's going to happen because I'm telling you, that's a deal breaker for Russia. And I don't blame him. That doesn't make me a Putin lover or a Russian apologist. It's just not going to happen. But, you know, some other kind of guarantee for their protection so that they're not back to fighting in 2 years or invaded again, sure. I think that would be fine. And it might be having certain weapons, giving them certain weapons or access to certain weapons that they don't have now. But, you know, that's going to be an issue for Russia too. They'll have to figure that out. But I thought this is great. You know, it's good for us. It's good for our country. These are minerals that we need to continue to be productive and advance. This is good shit. So, what do I always say? Take 24 hours. Chill out a minute. Let the dude work. But he knows these things. I would rather have someone that's been through this kind of stuff than have somebody who hasn't. And he's been through it. And there have been, throughout history, a number of great business people who went through a bankruptcy and who were great businessmen. Shit happens. I mean, think about it. What's the percentage of small businesses that fail within the first 5 years? The number's like super, super high. Like really, really high. What's the percentage of small businesses that fail? %20 in the first 2 years, 50% by year 5. I've seen other statistics that have been even higher, but think about it, that's a big number. But those people were willing to take a risk. Sometimes those people, you know, bet their house on it, bet all they had. There was another Reddit, 65 to 80% of all new businesses fail. It's not easy starting a new company. It's just not. And the value or the opinions of some who've never done anything like it, I'm not saying their opinions have no value, but their opinions are based on them always having been an employee. They just don't have that background, and having the background of at least having tried to start a business, whether it was a little successful or it failed or was very successful, it's important. Informing your overall opinion. That's where you get to the living wage. When you first start a business, most companies can't do that when they first start, unless they've got funding from other partners or whatever else. But a lot of businesses are, just started by individuals or couples or just two buddies, right? That happens a whole lot. So, success-wise, I think what's another example of this is just fantastic success, and on all fronts things are moving and moving at a very, very fast pace, and people have their marching orders basically. And I don't know how the president is keeping tabs on all of this, but he is, and seems to be just, if you don't use your mind, you lose it. And this guy has not lost it. You may not like him, but the difference that we've all literally seen with our own eyes of the deterioration of Joe Biden. And I wasn't saying he was deteriorating just to be mean or a jerk or to lie about it or take a shot at him. I honestly thought it was not cool. I honestly thought, you know, maybe when he was first elected, I didn't see it as bad as what we saw, at least by year number 2. But by then, it was not good. And I just thought it was terrible to treat somebody that way. Even though I didn't like his politics, I just thought what they were doing to him and how they were using him was just not right. He should have been home. He should have been with family. He should have been with grandkids. He should have been, sleeping more in a lounge chair on the beach. That's what should have been happening. But his cognitive abilities were nothing like President Trump's. There's no comparison whatsoever. I mean, literally everybody that's around Trump, eh, eh, the only one who can literally keep up with Trump, and I think that's maybe why Trump likes him, is Musk. Because I don't think that motherfucker sleeps either. I just don't. That dude is just wired. Uh, what does he get? 4 hours a night, if that, maybe? I don't know. It just because he's up tweeting all night. Now, unless he created those tweets, all of them earlier to hit that, but it doesn't seem that way. It seems like those are live tweets at the time. You know what I mean? That he does. The dude never sleeps. But I think Trump appreciates that, or sees that in Musk that he has in himself. And me, I have so much going on in my head. I'm not to the extent those two guys are, but it's a lot. It's a lot. But it just happens when you're just that driven or passionate and believe in something, and I do, which is this and the business, and they can try, or y'all who don't like me out there who want to report content, go ahead. Report the content. I'll just report on, I'll make posts about that. Either way, the message will get out there. And because we do the great job that we do every day, it's to the point where it's not one. I probably this morning, I got 3 messages minimum within the first couple hours of waking up this morning. I got at least 3 messages from people who were referred to me. by someone else. And if you actually look, I have to push myself more to do content on Instagram, and I will pick that back up again. But if you look at the dates on my Instagram, you will see a decline. And one of the reasons for the decline is just overall how busy we've been. And I didn't need it to keep generating more business. I was already getting more business, right? And you can only process so much business at one time. And when you aren't able to process it all, you have to figure out ways. Do you add a person, or what do you do to address it? Because we want to continue to grow. Those are the growing pains of the consulting business that we have. And they're good growing pains. Those are the good kind of problems to have. You will always have problems. You just want the really good ones. And we have that. So, all right, that's what I got for today. Also, if you see this, when you see this, you may have missed, but it is up now. We did the best. Leo did a great job of fixing it. You know, I might sound not as great a couple of places, but I don't think that it's too annoying. And you can give us feedback on that. But it was a good interview, and we didn't want to ditch the interview with Ron Harris. So any of you guys that are into fitness, bodybuilding, muscle, Ron Harris is really a great guy to follow, a great guy to listen. And I think we found out a little bit more about him, I did personally, than what I knew before from just reading his articles. It was a fun interview to do, but go check out that interview as well. We were happy to be able to bring that to you. And that's what the new goal is. The new goal is to try to get at least one interview a week. And so we'll be working on that for next week to at least get one person interviewed and kind of expand that part of the show. We appreciate you. Much love and respect. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.
Whoa! Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah. Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life.